Thank you for joining the Richard Logsdon Show. I am Richard Logsdon. To dispel any speculation on the part of any of you out there that I am showing disrespect in any way to the American flag by flying it upside down, nothing could be further from the truth. It is in the United States Code that in times of extreme distress, flying the flag upside down is the proper way to do it. Our nation is in no greater distress today than it has ever been since the days of the Civil War. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and my biography, so you know exactly who I am. I was born 26 December 1947 in Mayfield, Kentucky. I was born in abject poverty. For a short period during the first year of my life, me and my parents literally lived in a log cabin with a dirt floor. Later on in my boyhood years in Kentucky, we lived in shacks. No central heating, no running water or plumbing, an outhouse with a Sears catalog, well water. For food, I had Kentucky round steak, bologna, ketchup sandwiches, beans, and cornbread made up most of my diet. Occasionally, I had some chicken. We moved at the age of 13 to California, Santa Cruz, one of the most liberal cities in the state of California. There, my circumstances improved greatly. I graduated from Santa Cruz High School, one of the most liberal high schools in the state of California. At that time, I joined the United States Navy, simply because the Vietnam War left me no choice but the branch of service of my choice. I attended the first year in San Diego of boot camp and multiple schools. I was sent to Guam. I was granted a top-secret crypto security clearance. I was a cryptographer for the year and a half that I was on Guam. Following was 27 consecutive months of duty in the Vietnam theater of war. I am a decorated, disabled Vietnam veteran. After that, I served in Vallejo, California, at a crypto vault, Communications Materials Systems Command. It was the largest depository of classified information in the United States Navy outside of Washington, D.C. There were only 3 people in the world that had unlimited access to this material and the combination to the crypto vault. I was one of them. I would like to also let you know that I was a union president of the American Postal Workers Union in later years, AFL-CIO affiliated. The greater part of my life, I have been a Democrat. My father was a Democrat before me, as was my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my great-great-grandfather, who was a Democrat because Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The truth of the matter is, I supported John Kennedy, I supported Lyndon Johnson, I supported Jimmy Carter, and yes, in 2008, I even supported Barack Obama. Why? Because I, like many of you, were so fed up and disgruntled with George W. Bush, anything would have been better than him. No Republican could have won in 2008. The Democrats could have run my pet dachshund in 2008 and won. My pet dachshund was dead. I want to take the next 4 episodes to explain to you why I am no longer a Democrat, because I feel that I have been betrayed by the Democratic leadership of this country, and certainly, not the least, Barack Obama himself. We will come back right after this. A famous celebrity made a political ad for none other than the anointed one, Barack Obama, implying that the economy is just fine and is humming along. We are $6 trillion more in debt. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their homes. 23 million people are out of work. Are things really humming along, Morgan? I think not.
Laughing Joe Biden, snaring Joe Biden, inaccurate with his facts, interrupting the truth. Is this man capable of anything else? Do we really want this man as president and be faced with an international crisis? After all, the vice president is only one heartbeat away from the presidency.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Richard Logsdon Show, and I am Richard Logsdon. It's good to have you with us today. The first few things that I want to say that turn me against being a Democrat and turn me against Barack Obama is the lies that he told us during his first campaign and throughout his quote-unquote administration. I prefer to call it a regime. I don't even want to refer to it as an administration. He got up and said that our troops, our own military, should not in fact get free medical. They should have to pay for it because they chose that job. Now, why should they get their medical free when other people have to pay for it? The truth of the matter is they get that medical as part of their quote-unquote employment package. He got up and he said he is going to diminish and depreciate the American military by over 25%. That means 20,000 Marines, 100,000 Army. They want to take away over 300 cargo planes from the United States Air Force and reduce the United States Navy to a point where it was before Pearl Harbor in 1941. Naval intelligence already shows that the Iranians are planning on doing naval maneuvers off our coast. China is building a navy that will threaten us continuously, 24/7, when they finally finish their latest aircraft carrier. This country will be robbed of all of its military assets, and the fact that it can even defend itself will be in question. We will no longer be able to come to the aid of any of our allies. All of this is what Barack Obama promises. Now, he has gone around to the defense industry and asked them, please don't let any of your employees know they're going to lose their job until after the election. The defense industry says we have to give at least 90 days notice. Barack Obama says, well, I'll take taxpayer money and defend you in court if you just shut up. Just keep your mouth shut about 1 million people losing their jobs until after the election. Do you think this man really cares about the middle class? Those 1 million jobs are from the middle class. They're not the upper class. They'll maintain their wealth. They'll maintain their positions. The middle class will be amongst those 1 million jobs to be lost. You think your taxes won't be raised? Bet again. Barack Obama, in my opinion, has taken the position that he really wants to destroy this nation. I call it for what it is. Most people are afraid to say that. I'm not. I believe he literally wants to destroy this nation. I believe he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he has calculated every move to bring this country to its knees. He has abandoned our allies in the Middle East. He is not pro-Israel by any means. He does not care whether or not the Iranians get a nuclear bomb. He himself has said, that one nation should not be able to tell another whether or not they should have a nuclear weapon or how many. He intends to reduce our own nuclear stockpile to fewer than 300 nuclear warheads to be an even playing field for all of our enemies in the world. Barack Obama has rushed through his Obamacare, threatening Medicare as it now stands, and many, many other atrocities, political atrocities that he has created through the time of his, what I call, regime. I wish you would ponder this and think about this. What I'm saying is correct. There is no in spite of the fact that Joseph Biden, during the vice presidential debate, laughed and sneered at Paul Ryan, as far as I am concerned, the facts were on Paul Ryan's side. And I want this people, these Americans, my fellow countrymen, to understand what peril they themselves are in. I want them to understand that Barack Obama right now is going across this country and saying that Mitt Romney is going through a makeover. Oh, Barry, Barack Hussein Obama. If you would just turn and look at yourself in a mirror, you would see the twin brother to the original Dorian Gray. We will be back right after this. A famous celebrity made a political ad for none other than the anointed one, Barack Obama, implying that the economy is just fine and is humming along. We are $6 trillion more in debt. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their homes. 23 million people are out of work. Are things really humming along, Morgan? I think not.
Laughing Joe Biden, snaring Joe Biden, inaccurate with his facts, interrupting the truth. Is this man capable of anything else? Do we really want this man as president and be faced with an international crisis? After all, the vice president is only one heartbeat away from the presidency.
Welcome back. I have here as a guest Mr. Gary Coleman. He's been known for his humanitarian work in recent years. And Gary, I understand you've made 14 trips to Africa.
I have made 14 trips. I've made about 9 to Ethiopia, and the additional trips to equal 14 on to Kenya. Actually, I've been in Kenya 9 times and Ethiopia 14 times.
Well, that's good.
So I've definitely covered the ground.
And what specifically did you do there?
Oh, I've been going over since the latter part of 1999, and got involved with a foundation that was originally called Engage Now, and we eventually changed the name and became known as Ascend Alliance, and then we ventured off and we did more under the name of Engage Now Africa, and I serve on the board of both of those foundations. And we've done a lot of humanitarian service work, self-empowerment programs, and we've spent a lot of time doing medical. We treat young children. We treat babies. We treat adults, and we take a lot of provisions for them. We also put them in a position to where they can learn how to run a business, and we allow them to run that business, and therefore...
That's fantastic. I mean, what is their standard of living like? There's people that you work with, which is probably a majority of the people, is it not?
I think the best way to answer that, I once had a person say to me, Gary, why do you go to Africa? What's the purpose? When we've got so much here that's a problem, let's take care of all the people that we've got here. And my only comment was, even here in America, yes, there are people with problems. But when they run out of food, at least they have a garbage can to go to. In Ethiopia, they had nothing to go to.
What about Kenya?
In certain villages of Kenya, nothing to go to. There wasn't even any rubbish to rumble through. And as a result, a lot of deaths from starvation, a lot of various diseases, and a lot of waterborne diseases. So when we've gone, we've put in wells. We've built schools. We've built 38 schools so far. And the schools that we've built have been incredible to those people. It's been incredible.
Well, I understand you actually have some pictures.
I do. I've taken several thousand pictures.
Okay, but you brought 7 or 8 today that you wanted to show the public.
I did. I brought one. We had a situation where we were called into a hut, and it was a poor little baby, and this baby was 7 days old. The mother had died in childbirth. We tried to revive the baby. The baby had not eaten in 7 days since its birth. And shortly after I picked the baby up, have to take a deep breath. It died while I was holding it. And so we've had some real tragedies like that. Those things you remember forever. We had a young girl come with a severely damaged leg, and it was very infected. And the MD that was with us made a statement and said, "This girl will lose her leg. It just doesn't look good, but let's treat it." Well, we treated that leg, fixed it up, and to this very day, and I've kept track of this because we have an on-ground, on-site staff, they report back that girl is up running and with both legs. So those are wonderful experiences to come back with. And we've had experiences where we've, as I mentioned, built the schools, and we've had places where we've provided school kits that have been made and give these kids the school kits. We've dug 2 deep water wells, and we've put in some irrigation systems. We put in some cistern systems. So we've had just an incredible experience. And one thing on this, and I think it was probably one of the most touching things I've ever had, and it was in 2007, I believe. I went in to do some research in some of the villages that we had been in, because we've done also family gardens. And I went into the village, and one person yelled from across the way. And I thought, what is he yelling at? And I turned to look. He couldn't remember my name, but he could remember my face. And he motioned, "Come, come." So I went over to him, and he wanted to show me not only the family garden that was growing, but he drugged me into his hut. And when I got into his hut, I was overwhelmed, because there on his wall, maps of America, pictures of our president. We love America. And he held up the American flag and said how much he loved his American brothers. That was probably one of the most touching things that I've ever had, because we're told that we're hated around the world. And I'm thinking, hated around the world? We're giving humanitarian service work to these people, and they love America, and they love what they called, quote, our American brothers. And it touched me, and it's to this day has been with me, and it always is. I just returned from Ethiopia and Kenya in June of this year.
Well, that's outstanding. Now, I want to ask you a golden question. You yourself did not have the money to pay for all of these trips. So who, through his charitable organization, paid for them for you?
Well, you know, it's crazy. We hear so much negative, and I get sick of it, because people do not understand the facts, and if they do, they seem to close their ears. Bain Capital would match every single thing that we would raise. If we raised $10, they would match it with $10. If we raised $2 million, which we have, they would give $2 million. They matched every single contribution ever made to both of these foundations, to Engage Now Africa and to Ascend Alliance. And it was through those donations that allowed me and allowed others to go on these expeditions. It's those donations that helped improve and empower these people in these poor, poor villages of Ethiopia, of Kenya, of Ghana, of Malawi, of Mozambique. All of these countries we have worked in. And where did the money come from? Yes, from charitable people, from good people. But matched, guess who?
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney, Bain Capital, Bob Gay. And those people have a heart. And it's a heart of love, it's a heart of gold, and it's a heart of wanting to make people better, regardless of which country they're in.
That's outstanding. It really is. Now, compare that to the Anointed One, as a lot of people call him, the great Barack Obama, who has a half-brother in Kenya. Now, Barack Obama himself is worth over $8 million. How he got it is questionable, but that's how much he's worth. He has not sent his half-brother one single solitary dollar. What do you think about that?
I think it's deplorable. I mean,
his half-brother's living in absolute poverty.
I've seen the areas that his half-brother lives in. I've been in the nearby villages. I know the poverty that's there. And, I mean, I even had a woman come up to me with her child and say, Gary, is there any way you could help me with some money to help my child graduate from, which is equivalent to junior high school? Mm-hmm. I did. I arranged for her to get $500. That's more than Barack Obama has ever given his half-brother. I gave her $500, and that boy graduated. And I'm thrilled to know that I had a part of that. And I think what really has disappointed me, because I've spent so much time in Kenya and traveled around. I mean, I've literally covered it from north to south, east to west. I think one of the most disappointing things is in the year 2006, it actually was September, I happened to be in Kenya about the same time as Barack Obama. And I thought, what in the world is he was a senator then, what is he doing in Kenya? Well, there were a lot of rallies going on, so I thought, well, I've got to find out what's going on here. And I had a couple of good friends, and I said, what's he doing here? A senator from the USA. Oh, you haven't heard? My word, he is here campaigning for, and I can never pronounce his name, Raila, it's R-A-I-L-A, Odinga. And he's running for the president for the election that's going to occur in 2007. And Obama is here from the USA as his campaigner. I mean, he's out on the road. And I thought, you've got to be kidding. Do you know who Odinga is? And I started doing even more research because I've heard of Odinga before. And Odinga was the one that was directly responsible for terrorism that has occurred in Kenya. Even terrorism against the United States of America. And I'm thinking, this is the man that Obama is campaigning for? And I was very, very disappointed.
Now, during those acts of terrorism, he was responsible for murder, rape.
I can't say that he was, but the people who followed him were. And it's been suggested by fellow Kenyans that he actually perpetrated it. And the reason, when the election finally occurred in 2007, Odinga lost that election. And when he lost that election, he was running against Mbeki, and President Mbeki was the victor. And at the close of that election, and Mbeki declaring victory, all of a sudden there was rioting out of control. Over 1,000, from Odinga's party, over 1,500 people were killed, slaughtered. Not in a nice way, but killed. Over 500,000 people, 500,000, 500,000, were displaced from their homes. And I went out in 2007 and 2008, and I personally, with my own eyes, walked in to the tented communities that these poor displaced people lived in because their homes had been destroyed, families had been destroyed, and because of all this destruction and this mayhem that was going on, Mbeki said, look, Mr. Odinga, stop. I'll share the presidency with you. And for the first time in any country, to this very day, and anybody can look it up, it's public information, they changed the term presidency. They don't use the term president anymore. It's prime minister. So the prime minister of Kenya today, 2012, is Mr. Odinga and Mr. Mbeki. They share it equally. Why? Because Mbeki said we've got to cut out the mayhem and the killing and the murder and bring peace and harmony to our people once again.
So in an indirect way, this makes Barack Obama an accomplice to murder, rape, pillage, burning.
Well,
that may be a little harsh, but frankly...
Well, let me just say this. And this is what bothered me, because I did a lot of research on it.
Hold that thought, and let's come right back right after this. A famous celebrity made a political ad for none other than the anointed one, Barack Obama, implying that the economy is just fine and is humming along. We are $6 trillion more in debt. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their homes. 23 million people are out of work. Are things really humming along, Morgan? I think not.
Laughing Joe Biden, snaring Joe Biden, inaccurate with his facts, interrupting the truth. Is this man capable of anything else? Do we really want this man as president and be faced with an international crisis? After all, the vice president is only one heartbeat away from the presidency.
Welcome back. We have Gary Coleman here as our guest this afternoon. And he has spent time in Africa on humanitarian projects, a total of actually 14 trips.
14.
You've mentioned that Mitt Romney and the Bain Capital helped pay for these trips.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
And you have mentioned that Barack Obama was over there campaigning in behalf of a very questionable character.
Odinga. Raila Odinga. And again, I asked to be pardoned for not pronouncing the first name correctly.
Now, is there something illegal about a sitting senator or congressman going to a foreign country and doing that? I mean, forget about the fact that there was mayhem and murder and rape and everything else involved. Is the fact that he did it in and of itself against the law?
Well, at the time, I didn't know this, but I thought, I'd heard that it was. But I thought, why is a sitting senator here in Kenya promoting a man who has had these associations that Odinga has had? And I thought, it just doesn't compute. So I started doing some research on it. And I found out there was an act that was passed, and again, public information, in 1799. It's called the Logan Act. And the Logan Act just basically says any person who is sitting in any position of government that does any kind of either campaigning or negotiating in a foreign country on behalf of a prospective foreign leader is committing a felony and can be imprisoned for up to 3 years. I thought, what? So in other words, I saw someone in a rally. I was there, by the way, when he was doing his rallies with Odinga. So this is eyewitness. This is not just hearsay. And here's a man, a senator of the United States of America, or one of the senators from the United States, that is there campaigning. And when the man loses, there's riots that take place. And then I come back and find out there's a Logan Act. And I think, my word, this guy is basically, by definition, a felon. What's he doing in Africa promoting Odinga? And I was very, very disturbed by that. Very disturbed.
Now, did you find any information that might lead you to believe that he was possibly born in Kenya?
Yes. And another sensitive subject. But since I'll take the oath. I have, as I said, traveled all over Kenya. And we've done a lot of work with a lot of people. And one of the trips that I was on, we were touring a lot of the different resorts. And I was with this gentleman that owns a safari company, and with his uncle. And his uncle, at the time, I believe was either 76 or 77 years of age. And we were driving along, and he was so happy and so thrilled that Obama was going to be, so this is, you can tell, this is before the 2008 election. He was so thrilled that Barack Obama was going to be the president. Even before the election, he knew he was going to be the president. He said, "Oh, this is wonderful." And I said, "Why is that?" "Well, he's a Kenyan, and it's going to be the greatest thing in the world that could happen to Kenya." I said, "Well, I'm glad you're happy. That's really good." And he said, well, yeah, I mean, he's Kenyan. I said, well, yeah, he comes from a Kenyan father, but, he was born in Hawaii. And he said, no. And he was indignant. He got very upset. He said, that's not true. And I said, I've done enough on this. They show that he's born in Hawaii. He said, that's an absolute lie. He said, I'll tell you why I know it's a lie. I'm in the car with him. We're driving. He said, my wife is a nurse. My wife was a nurse at the Mombasa Memorial Hospital. And you know what? My wife was one of the nurses that helped deliver Barack Hussein Obama. And 5 days later, then she went to, the mother and the baby went to Hawaii. And I didn't say anything. I just said, oh, and kind of got a...
Well, now, is it true that she was over there, waited too late in her pregnancy, and was not allowed back on the plane because it was her intentions that the baby be born in Hawaii?
In Hawaii, absolutely.
But she could not. They would not let her on the plane.
That's exactly
and so she was forced to have the baby in Kenya.
And even he said that, this gentleman, this late 70-year-old guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he said. So I came back and I've held this within. It's bothered me. But I think because America was founded on principles of how do we make and improve the lives of other people? How do we improve lives? Whether they be people right here in our own backyard or people in other countries. It's our obligation to improve lives. And we do it by being truthful. And I think I saw so much corruption from at least the start of some corruption, that I became very disillusioned when this particular person that we're speaking of became the president. And I thought, this is not the America that I have grown and love. And I'm going to go back to that, because every time you say something that's against Obama, you're accused of being a racist. Trust me, I am the furthest thing from that, because I love, and I can look you in the eye, I can look you in the eye, I love the African people. I love them, and I mean that.
We have many Africans here in this community going to school, and I have never found one of them to be disrespectful.
No.
Not one.
And that's, I feel that way, and we have seen so many things. And I will tell you one last story, just one real short one. I had a boy in a village come up to me, and he wanted to know, what was our background? What our belief background? Were we Christians, or what were we? And we talked about Christianity. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, this person writes me a letter and tells me that he has been converted to Christianity. And he had my address. I gave him all of this. In fact, it was an email. And I was just moved. Do you want to know the great thing? Here we are, 2012. Guess what? He just got a scholarship to a university located in Idaho. And he'll be taking electrical engineering. And this was a poor kid in a village. Do I love these Africans? You bet.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you.
And in my mind, there is no question he was born in Kenya. In my mind, there is no question that the quote-unquote birth certificate was electronically fabricated. In my mind, there is no question that he should not be President of the United States. Certainly not for another term. Now, the first term, even I supported him. For the first term, there are millions of people out there that supported him because he lied to them. He got his little groupies together.
That's very true.
And he's made this country what it is today, an absolute sham.
Well,
and he's just as much, and I want to say this, he's just as much white as he is black.
Very true.
And so if somebody wants to play the race card, then blame it on the part of him that's white, but get his buttocks out of the White House.
I agree. And the one thing that I continually go back to, and go back to, and go back to, the generosity and the heart and the soul of Mitt Romney is greater than anybody knows. I've seen and done and worked around the things that this man has provided. I know what he is.
And some of Barack Obama's lackey running dogs, congressmen and women, and that they themselves are African American, they accuse Mitt Romney of being racist because he goes to Poland.
Oh.
Now, is the entire nation of Poland a racist people? And what about the Poles that live here? Are they all racist?
Well, I can say that he is not a fiber of his being is racist. And in fact, if ever there was a person for all, literally all, it would be Mitt Romney. And I know that. Not do I believe it, I know it.
He would be president of all the people.
No question. Not a question in my mind. So,
Gary, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Anytime.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Until next week. Until next week, please, God bless all of you. I'll have a co-host named Debbie Babbitt next week. And in the interim, may God bless America. May God bless the United States. Thank you.